Okay, hi everybody. I'm Melanie Shapiro. I'm an immigration lawyer based in Massachusetts, and I am live today on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. I'm here to answer any questions that you have about immigration. Come in, say hi. I love to chat with everybody on here. All right, so I'll give you guys a minute to join. I hope everybody's doing well today. It is gorgeous here. So let's see. Just waiting for some folks to go ahead and join the live. Let's see. Hi. If you're joining my live, I'm Melanie Shapiro. I'm an immigration lawyer in Massachusetts. Go ahead and say hello. Let me know you're here. You can anything you want to know about immigration. Let me know what's on your mind. And let's see. Oh, I have someone wanting as a guest. Okay. Let's see. Got it. So anyway, go ahead and ask me any questions that you have. Please say hello. Let me know how you're doing. I'm going to get started now. I have received some questions. Hello to Jewel on YouTube. Nice to see you here. How are you doing today? Go ahead and say hello. Nice to see you. What are you interested in learning about? So I'm going to get started. And the first question that I have is, what is the difference between refugee and asylum status or asylee status? So there is a difference between refugee and asylee status. Refugees are people who come from outside of the United States and enter as refugees. They apply through the UN HCR, which is the High Council on Refugees. And this is about a 2-year process to enter, and you're not guaranteed to come to the United States. You might be going to a different country. And somebody who is an asylee is somebody who is granted asylum status in the United States. And that's a different process. You apply for asylum within 1 year of arriving. And then after you have an interview or you go before a judge, if you're successful, then you're granted asylum status. And your legal status is you are an asylee. Thank you for the question. Hello to Mikram on TikTok. How are you? Let me know how you're doing. If you're interested in anything about immigration, go ahead and send in your questions. Jewel on YouTube is saying, is there no other way you can do citizenship without going in front of the immigration? So I'm not sure if you mean in front of a judge or something, but another way that you can get citizenship without doing anything is if you have automatically derived citizenship from your parents. Now, the requirements are a little bit tricky with that. It's through the the Child's Citizenship Act of 2000. And through this act, if either one of your parents is a U.S. citizen and you lived with them, you were lawfully admitted to the United States as a permanent resident before you turned 18, then you can automatically derive citizenship. But there are a lot of specific requirements, and I'll have to go into that in more detail another time. There's also, say, for example, you were born outside of the United States, so you were born abroad and you have to register your birth with the consulate abroad in order to have your citizenship recognized. So those are a couple of ways that you can acquire citizenship automatically. Or of course, if you're born in the US, even if your parents are undocumented, then you do acquire citizenship by birth. America is one of those countries that does that. Not every country does. So thank you for your question. Go ahead and say hello. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'd be happy to answer those. And I also speak Spanish, so si habla español, puedo contestarlo sus preguntas en español también. Y falo un poco de portugués. Bueno. So go ahead, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them into the chat. You can send a message. If you're interested in booking a consultation, There's a link in my bio, and you can go on my website, or you can call the office and schedule a consultation with me. Okay, I have another question here. How do you apply for asylum? Okay, so this is a great question. Generally, you have to apply for asylum within 1 year of arriving in the United States. You have to show that you were suffered persecution, which is serious harm in your country. Oh, I got someone here from. Let's see. Say hi. Hello. How you guys doing? Good.
Attorney, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? Are you also an attorney?
I'm okay. Where is Jimmy from?
I'm from Boston. How about you?
Bad network.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't hear you very well.
I think our network is terrible. Look up in Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's my network.
Okay, so do you have a question?
It's my network.
Okay.
My network is terrible.
All right. Well, why
My
don't
network is bad, right?
All right, well, why don't you hop off then if your network's not good?
What's up?
Okay. Um all right. So I'm going to have you guys hop off if the network isn't good. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and answer some more of the questions that I'm getting now. Um so this question I was still answering about how to apply for asylum. So you have to show persecution, which means serious harm, that you suffered some sort of harm in your country, and it has to be because of who you are, of one of the 5 protected grounds. But it's either because of your race, your religion, your nationality, your political opinion, or your membership in a particular social group. So then you have to show that your fear is well founded, meaning that if you were to return, that you are afraid that these things would happen to you, and that if the government is not willing or able to help you, and that you know those are the basic requirements of that. You have to show that the harm that you suffered, as I mentioned, is because of one of those protected grounds. Um, and in order to apply for asylum, you fill out a form that's called an I-589, which is an application for asylum. You have to be in the United States when you fill this out, and then you send it either to the immigration court if you're in removal proceedings, or to the asylum office, which is through the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. After you submit your application, you want to make sure you have a good statement that you've prepared, you have supporting documents to show that what you're saying is true, that happened to you. It could be, for example, a psychological evaluation. I always have my clients do that. It could be medical reports of if you've been harmed. It can be affidavits from friends or family members or anyone who has knowledge of what happened to you. So you gather all of your evidence and you wait for your interview to be scheduled. You go before an asylum officer if you're having an interview, and then the officer will go through your application with you, ask you lots of questions about why you're afraid to return, what happened to you, and whether to gauge whether or not you're credible, meaning that your story is believable, that you're telling the truth. And from that point, then the asylum officer will make a decision, but not the same day. They'll mail it out to you, or they'll take a very long time, and then we can sue them to make a decision. And if you're going before the judge, then your attorney would be presenting the case before the court, would be asking all of the questions to you, and then making legal arguments about why you qualify for asylum. Okay, so that's how it goes. And with the asylum office right now, it's really backed up. So it's taking many years to get an interview. But if there's some emergency situation, you can request for your case to be expedited. And then, we've had some success with that. All right, so thank you for that question. If you have any other questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. The next question that I have is, if I've been granted a temporary work visa, can my spouse and or my children come with me to the United States? Yes, they can. So with the work visas, you can add a derivative. So for example, if you're coming over on an H-1B, you can, which is for specialty occupation. It's a temporary visa that's subject to the lottery. You can include your spouse or your child, and they would come over as H4s or dependents. The downside of this is that they aren't allowed to work on those. So that's something to be mindful of. So thank you for that question. Um, and I have a question here. For those of you who are just joining me, my name is Melanie Shapiro. I'm an immigration attorney and I practice in Massachusetts, but I represent people all over the country and all over the world. I see some people here joining. Mohammed, Raja, Ferry, thank you for joining. Please say hello. Let me know where you're from. Um, I know I'm not sure. I see somebody with their name in Arabic. Are any of you from Afghanistan? Um, if you are from Afghanistan, so those of you who've been following me for a long time probably remember that I was working on this huge campaign to help people from Afghanistan with humanitarian parole cases. Hello, Malik. Please say hello. Let me know where you're from. So I was helping a lot of people from Afghanistan with humanitarian parole cases, and we were having a lot of trouble with those, and things were dragging on. And then the U.S. government was requiring really higher requirements than any other type of humanitarian parole. So, good news is we finally got somebody who came from Afghanistan on humanitarian parole, and we had to sue the government in what's called a writ of mandamus. So, a writ of mandamus, basically, mandamus is mandating the government to do its job. And we were successful with that case, and he's finally here. We have a few other cases that are moving along, but it's taken a really long time. And so, for the people who are from Afghanistan who are inside the United States who got paroled, the government is allowing people to re-parole. So, if you enter with parole, you're given parole for 2 years. You can get your work permit. You can get some assistance from the Office of Refugee Resettlement. And so, so that's being done as well. I believe that Joe Biden, our president, is doing temporary protected status for Afghans because of everything that's going on there with the Taliban. And so, so that's a good thing. Now, for those of you who came with parole, you should have all been applying for asylum. So I see somebody who's trying to join. I'm not going to have anybody join my live right now, but you can just ask me any questions or say what you want to in the comments, please. And so, anyway, I am working on this asylum case for this guy from Afghanistan. Okay, hello, everybody that's joining. Hi, Junior, Hamza. Nice to see you all on here. Please introduce yourselves. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what kind of questions you have about immigration. I'm here to answer those questions for you. So the next question that I got here is, which family members can sponsor relatives for U.S. immigrant visas? This is a good question. So there are certain types of cases that only U.S. citizens can do. So I'll start with permanent residents. Permanent residents, which just means somebody who has a green card, can apply for their spouse, children under 21, sons and daughters who are over 21 but who are unmarried. And that's it. And US citizens can apply for all of those, but they can also apply for married children, for parents, and for siblings. So I hope that answers your question. And then, well, I could just touch upon something else. When you're looking at these types of cases, they kind of take a really long time. And so, for example, the longest one that we have is a sibling petition. A U.S. citizen applying for their sibling takes approximately 15 to 16 years. And that's because there's a backlog. There's something called a visa bulletin that comes out every month, and it says when certain cases they can file for their green cards. And if it's not what's considered an immediate relative, then it is subject to the visa bulletin. And then the bulletin comes out every month, like I said, and you have to look on there to see whether or not you're able to file for the green card. And I just got a correction here from one of my paralegals said, so I was wrong. The spouses of H-1Bs can work. And so I was incorrect on that. My apologies. They can work under C-26. And yeah, so thank you, Colleen, for the correction. So as I was saying, immediate family members who are not subject to the visa bulletin are it's only U.S. citizens who can apply for them that aren't subject. So the spouse, the parent, or the minor child of a U.S. citizen are considered immediate family members, immediate relatives, and they don't have to wait. They can apply for the green card at the same time as they apply for the family petition, so long as they don't need a waiver or anything like that. So thank you. Hello, everybody joining. Hello, Krent. Hello, Junior Hamza. Go ahead and say hello. Let me know where you're from. And then you can go ahead and ask me anything you want to know about immigration. So the next question that I have is after marrying a citizen and obtaining my green card, how long must I wait before applying for citizenship? When you obtain your green card, you can apply for citizenship either 3, 4, or 5 years after, depending on what category you have. So, for example, somebody who is applying for citizenship based on receiving their green card through marriage can apply for citizenship 2 years and 9 months. So 3 years, but you can send in your application 2 years and 9 months after you receive your green card. And this is the requirement, though, is that you are still married and your spouse has to come to your naturalization interview with you. If something has gone wrong in your marriage, if you have gotten divorced, if your partner has passed, but mostly if you've gotten divorced, if you're not still with your spouse, then you do have to wait for 5 years in order to apply for naturalization. If you've received your green card through asylum, you have to wait for 4 years after you have received your green card to apply for naturalization. And then everybody else, it's a 5-year period that you have to wait. So the next question that I have here is, what can I do if my case is taking longer than normal? There's lots of different options if your case is taking longer than normal, if it's outside normal processing times. You can start off by filing an inquiry with USCIS. You can write a letter to the field office director at USCIS. You can write a letter to the director of the asylum office. You could call the USCIS hotline, but that's pretty much useless. So I would recommend you can start with that, but if it continues to be delayed more and more, you can also try reaching out to for congressional assistance. Every congressperson's office has a liaison with the different federal agencies, including with immigration, and they have been really helpful. Shout out to Senator Markey's office in particular. They've been really great in terms of having an ability to connect more easily with the different agencies. And so guys, everybody joining, say hello and, send me some likes, push this out. And then let me know where you're from, and then any questions that you have. So thank you, everybody on here. So also, besides congressional assistance, there's an ombudsman's office that has a connection with USCIS. Now, if these are not successful, or you've been waiting a really long time, it's outside of normal processing times, this is creating a hardship for you, we can sue the government. I do that a lot. We can sue the government through what's called a mandamus petition. And mandamus is saying that your case is unreasonably delayed and you're requesting that the court mandate the government to do its job. And this can be, we've done this for cases where, the Afghan humanitarian parole case that I mentioned before, that was well outside of normal processing times. We've done this if somebody has had an asylum interview and they haven't received a decision for an unreasonable period of time, or any other sort of delays like this. Of, say, for example, your I-130 family petition is the processing time is supposed to be 8 months, and we're now at 14 months. And we've tried reaching out to do case status inquiries, and nothing has happened. And we could just go sue the government. And I've been, this has worked, and every time I have done this, to get a decision or an interview or whatever we need very quickly. And while this might be, not the most attractive option to some people, it is very effective. So I highly recommend suing the government when they need to be sued. So thank you for that question. And let me see. The next question that I've received is, what happens when you overstay a visa and get married? It depends. So if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you've lawfully entered with a visa and you overstay, there's this little loophole that you can then go ahead and you can still file for your green card at the same time, and it's not an issue. If you are marrying a green card holder, however, it is an issue and you'll need to do a waiver. So in that situation, if your spouse has a green card and they have an opportunity to naturalize, they should naturalize first if possible, and then apply for you so that you don't have to apply for a waiver. Thank you for your question. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I have a few more minutes, so if you have questions, go ahead and ask them. The next question that I got is, how do I apply for employment authorization? Well, you first need to be eligible for employment authorization. I think that sometimes there's a misconception that you can just apply for work permit and it's its own application, but actually you have to be eligible. Either, for example, if you have an asylum case that's pending, you're eligible to apply for work permit after your asylum is pending for 150 days. Or if you filed a green card, you're able to file a work permit under that category, as if being eligible to apply, or DACA or TPS, or if you're applying for OPT, or with optional practical training with the student visa. So there's a whole list of the different categories that are eligibility categories for applying for work permit. And if you don't have an application, or you're not eligible, you can't just apply for a work permit. But there's a whole lot of different ways you can. So if you're interested in learning more about work permits and if you might qualify for one, you can send me a message. You can book an appointment. Hello to everybody who's joining now. Hello, Fatu and Kaiser and Amadi. So say hello. Let me know where you're from. If you have any questions about immigration. The next question I have are, why are some common reasons why green card applications are rejected? USCIS likes to reject your applications for any reason at all, even if it's not a valid reason. So it's important that you make sure you're sending your application to the correct location, that you've included the proper filing fees, that you have all of the documents, that your forms are completely filled out. and all of the questions are answered, and all of the required documents. So make sure you're signing in your passport photos, your medical exam if you are required to do one. So it's a civil surgeon exam, making sure that you have basic evidence showing that you're eligible. Otherwise, it could get rejected. So thank you for the question. The next question, and this is the last one that I have, unless you send in some more questions, then the last question is, what should applicants do if their green card application is rejected? And I'm assuming also denied. So if your application is denied, then you can file an I-290B form. Hi, Melina from Colombia. So anyway, you can file an appeal. You can also refile. You could see what kind of issues it might have with the case. So it'd be good for you to get in touch with an attorney to see why your case was rejected. I always discourage people from trying to file their cases on their own, because then it turns into a mess that I would later have to clean up. And it just is a lot cheaper and easier if you work with an experienced attorney from the start. Even if something seems like it's simple and you can do it on your own, just remember that we've gone to 7 years of school. We have time, experience doing these types of cases. We know that I can speak for myself. I know how to do these cases, the ins and outs of the immigration system. So it's definitely advisable to have an attorney represent you in your case. Well, thank you everybody for joining in. My name is Melanie Shapiro again. I'm an immigration attorney from Massachusetts. If you want to learn more, if you have any questions, you can send us a message and I will answer them in the next live. I hope you all have a great day and thanks for watching. Bye.